A man in a tactical vest, armed with a loaded shotgun and additional rounds, got out of a vehicle and stormed towards the Capitol before he was apprehended, charged, and arrested. We don't know his motive just yet, and things like this do happen, so maybe it's nothing, but I gotta be honest, considering just the other day, there was a transgender, unhinged individual who went up and shot up his family at this hockey rink. There are T-shirts being sold celebrating political violence, the ICE attacks, threats, violence, escalation, all of that at the ground level. And then at the political level, you have the redistricting, where Virginia recently got approval from their Supreme Court to wipe out 4 Republican seats. So the conversation's basically coming to an end. I look at a story like this in D.C. and I say, that freaks me out. Because the issue is, it's always a grain of sand that eventually makes the heap, right? That's the saying that I often use. At what point is this not just some one-off crazy person, but beginnings of a pattern or some kind of trend? And maybe, just maybe, we all beg, we hope, and we pray that this was just some lone nut crazy guy who believes crazy things, who tried attacking the Capitol by himself for some dumb reason. The scarier thing is that, of course, he's by himself, but what if he's motivated by mainstream ideology of any faction? I don't know. Presumably, we're going to see this on the left because of the violence coming from the left. But if it is this fervor generated by the online resentment or just general political disarray, that's where things are getting scary. And so I look at this story. There's a bunch of others where you can see that there's no conversation happening between the left and the right, only escalation. And the question then we've asked on the show is, where is the off-ramp? So let's analyze this story and see if there's actually anything going on there. And then we've got some fun stories for you. Fun as in nightmarish and terrifying. Like Zohran Mamdani announced that he's raiding the retirement funds, their rainy day funds for the city, cranking up property taxes. And I kid you not, holy crap, literally crap all over the streets of New York City. These videos are insane. And the question is, what happened as soon as he got in? What did he drop that just caused this chaos in New York? But surprise, surprise, all of these people thought Zohran Mamdani was going to come for the rich. Instead, he's going after literally everybody, looting their retirements and their rainy day fund, because that's what communists do. And then, of course, AOC at the Munich Security Conference, sounding like an idiot. Of course, the question is, why was she there? The presumption is she wants to run for president. Well, fortunately for us, she sounded so stupid. I think a lot of people are like, this lady should not be president. But when has policy or facts ever gotten in the way of someone who has charisma, right? I mean, we can talk about Donald Trump. He can, what do they call it? He can maneuver his way through any conversation. Unfortunate for people like Gary Johnson, who actually just tries to be honest and says, what is Aleppo? We're going to get into all of that and more. Before we do, my friends, we've got a great sponsor for you. It is Tax Network USA. Head over to tnusa.com/Tim or click the link below. Do you owe back taxes or do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you filed every year but still keep owing? Did you retire and suddenly get hit with a tax bill you didn't expect? Are you a business owner with messy books and a balance you can't afford? Maybe you pulled money from your 401k or IRA and now the IRS wants its share. However your tax issue started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is not going to go down. Penalties are going to grow. Interest compounds. And many of you are about to owe again for this upcoming tax year with no plan in place. This is why you should call Tax Network USA. The IRS is not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. This is where Tax Network USA comes in. With over 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and helps taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you, but you got to call now. They are offering a free investigation call with the IRS. After that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem, get you back on track. It's about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets terms for you. So don't wait. Call them now. Call 1-800-958-1000. That's 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/10 or click the link below. And don't forget, my friends, make sure you go to timcast.com and click join us to get in the Discord community. There are tens of thousands of people hanging out 24/7, having conversations, debates. There's pre-shows, there's after shows, there's morning shows produced by the community. And we've got member exclusive events coming up here in the West Virginia area. We've got the coffee shop, which is about to open. We're going to be doing a member VIP grand opening, not open to the public, only to our members, private members, and then a big grand opening party. If you want to support the work that we do and you want to be involved in these conversations, go to timcast.com, click join us, and hang out with the people who are in the know. And more importantly, I think there's probably a lot of stuff you can contribute. I know, one of the most powerful things about a show like this is the decentralization and the information exchange of the audience. So you guys watching, you can tell us things that we miss, and we see them. Join our Discord community and give that knowledge and be a part of this machine. Don't forget to also smash that like button, share the show with everyone you've ever met. If everybody shared this show right now on all platforms, we'd be the biggest news show in the world. So if you really do like what we do, it would mean a lot if you would share this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And joining us today to talk about this and literally everything is Rep. Riley Moore.
Thanks for having me back on. Riley Moore, Congressman, 2nd Congressional District of the great state of West Virginia. I'm happy to be back. You can follow me at Rep. Riley Moore on all social media platforms. Thanks for having me back.
Right on.
What is going on, Patriots? This is Tate Brown here holding it down. It's great to have you in. I came in, I walk into the studio, and you're out shredding the gnar outside.
Yeah, a little bit there. Yeah, is that there skating?
And wild, man. Just putting the insurance policy to the test. I love seeing it. No, you just get it. I knew that skateboard is in good hands. So, Phil, what's up?
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Carter? Is distracted.
What's up? No, lower thirds, man, they're killing me. But yeah, definitely become a member of the Discord. I heard there's going to be a cutout of Ian at that party, as Tim was saying. So,
well, I mean, hopefully,
maybe
we still have to figure it out.
Right.
Figure out dates. It's probably going to be in the next couple of weeks. Actually, it might be like the last week of March. I'm not entirely sure.
Word.
Dude, you're like playing Guitar Hero over there with that thing.
It's pretty crazy, but also very fun.
Right on. Well, let's get to the story. We got this from CNN. Man in tactical vest with loaded shotgun arrested after charging U.S. Capitol, police say. An 18-year-old in a tactical vest. We get it. Police identified the man as Carter Camacho of Smyrna, Georgia, and said he acted alone. They are working to determine a motive. Capitol Police Chief Michael Sullivan said Camacho, armed with a loaded shotgun, carrying additional rounds, drove a white Mercedes SUV near the Capitol before exiting and running toward the building. He was intercepted by Capitol Police, who drew their firearms and told him to drop his gun and get on the ground. Camacho complied and laid down before being arrested and taken into custody. Who knows what could have happened if we didn't have officers? The individual had a tactical vest on, the chief said, as well as tactical gloves. Police have charged Camacho with carrying a rifle without a license, having an unregistered firearm and ammunition, as well as unlawful activities. He was not previously known to Capitol Police. Now, I will say, we hear stories about this from time to time of some wackaloon doing something crazy at the Capitol. And I would argue one of two things. If this guy was serious, why would he dress in the most obvious way imaginable with a large weapon and run for it? If he got out of the vehicle and just walked, most people probably would not have noticed that much. Someone might have stopped and said, excuse me, what are you doing? But the clothes that he's wearing might just look military to the average person. And if he's calmly walking, they might not think that much about it. I would also then counter my own argument with stupid people are stupid. And they do stupid things because they're stupid. So
yeah, doing that is very, very stupid.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back. I made this point on the noon live, and I've said it previously. Is the very scary thing that's happening in the United States is we're getting a higher and higher proportion of the population that literally has nothing to lose. And this is another example of that. This is just a guy that, for a myriad of reasons, literally has nothing to lose. So he's a crazy person, yes, but a crazy person with nothing to lose is a serious problem. Yep. We saw it last night in Rhode Island. Now we're seeing it today, literally in our nation's capital. It's a really terrifying time that we're in because, okay, yes, this guy, whatever, he was bum rushing with tactical gear on. What happens when those people actually get serious? What happens when these people that have nothing to lose get serious? That's a very scary timeline that we would enter.
I want to just add, completely unrelated, YouTube's down.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
watch on Rumble.
Yeah. You can watch on YouTube if you have the direct URL, so I'll just tweet it out. But a lot of people are like, I can't find it because you go to
Kellen about it. He said it was on their end.
Yep, this is YouTube's front page is totally down. So anyway, Riley, is the world ending?
It feels like it sometimes. But about this moron who showed up to the Capitol with a tactical shotgun, what I can say, this is the most I can say. there are increased security questions, threats, and problems at the U.S. Capitol over last year.
Okay.
This is not a one-off.
Really?
Yeah.
And so are these are like, I don't know if classified is the right word, but they don't want people going around and talking about the security issues that they're experiencing?
There are some security issues at the Capitol. And all I can say, this is not a one-off.
Are we talking like individuals, or are we talking like potentially groups?
Hard to say right now if they are part of a group, but certainly individuals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, can you say anything else beyond that? I mean, avoiding specifics of what happened. Can we talk about, let me just say this. Let's step outside of whatever that statement was. And let me ask you, do you see any increased threats from any kind of factional, political, ideological groups or anything like that?
I'll speak for myself. Antifa specifically. I had obviously, you like to presume this stuff isn't public. They get rid of all of it on the internet, but you can find anything on the internet. I had an Antifa person show up to my house.
Oh, really?
A few months ago. And just started going ballistic on my wife and my kids, and I wasn't there, and they were out in the yard.
Oh, God.
And cops showed up and all that. And look, I'm one person, but this is happening increasingly to members of Congress, but specifically Republican members of Congress. Of course, there's security issues for people like Ilhan Omar and AOC, and given their stature and all that and things that they talk about. But there are increasing threats to all Republican members of Congress. If you go look at the last appropriations bill, what's called the Ledge Branch bill, you will see in there that there is a pot of money that was put in to increase security for members of Congress. I'm actually the vice chair of that subcommittee, so I can't talk about the other stuff too much. But that money's there for a reason.
Yeah.
It is there for a reason where members of Congress can now contract armed security. And yeah, I mean, it's an increasing issue.
You're allowed to carry guns up there, right?
You're allowed to carry a gun, but the problem is you have to go get a DC concealed carry, which they have to allow you to get. But of course, they raise the price on it where it's almost like $1,000.
Wow.
To get the concealed carry for any member of Congress out of state. You can carry.
I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with Congress appropriating money so you guys can get guns.
But I just want to say, if there's one thing Congress is really good at, it's passing laws to benefit themselves.
Yeah,
right.
Can't you get this?
Yeah, I mean, I want just universal carry in the Capitol. I think we should be able to Capitol carry and all that stuff. You can get the concealed weapons permit to carry within the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. as a member of Congress. But you got to go through this very lengthy process of getting the concealed permit, which basically nobody gets in Washington.
Why would a member of Congress have to do that? Like, are we
insane.
really concerned that a member of Congress is going to just go rogue and start killing people?
Yeah, no, and that's why I myself and I'm on the bill. I'm on a bill for Capitol carry.
You know what?
To allow members to carry in the Capitol.
I got to stop right there. I actually just thought about it and think Congress probably has a disproportionate amount of crooks. Maybe they should be.
Yeah, like some Congress members will just like get out of session and they'll go out somewhere in D.C. and start like jacking people and giving their wallet.
I mean, a little extra income,
a little bit, you know.
And it's funny because there was a move. I can't remember how long ago it was. Congress trying to raise their salaries.
Yeah,
AOC got a lot of heat for it, and I was actually kind of middle of the road on it. I said, guys, you got to understand, you guys have to maintain 2 residences, and probably not you because
I'm like the exception, except for some of the Democrats around the Beltway.
Right.
But most everybody else 2 residences.
Yeah, if you're within a few hours drive, you might just opt for driving a longer commute when you have to.
Yeah, or sleep in your office or get a hotel or, in the times that you can't go back home.
But if you're somebody who's, say, like, Wyoming.
Oh, yeah, you don't have a choice.
Right. And so what is the congressional salary? Like 174?
174, yeah.
And so you need to have a DC apartment and your home residence off that salary. They expect you to be working full time.
Yeah, and it is actually funny history on this thing. It is actually the law that there was a COLA passed. I think it was 2006. And then Pelosi started putting a waiver in on the COLA, which is now compounded over.
What's a COLA?
Cost of living adjustment. And so that's what all federal workers get. So this COLA was passed. I wasn't there then, obviously. It passed, and everyone's issued a waiver on it over the last 20 years, so now it's compounded. The funny thing is there's actually some members of Congress who have sued over this, and there's a lawsuit around the pay raise where it's like, look, this is law. The COLA's here. The Speaker or Congress can't just waive a law. You have to institute the law. So now you're in a place where if this lawsuit is successful, everyone's getting paid and back paid and all this other stuff,
But
where they could have just done it.
I know it's rough. I've heard stories of members of Congress sleeping in their offices, like on the floor and stuff. You're not supposed to. But have you considered just insider trading?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's another option. Not for me. I don't own any stocks. But, Anna Paulina Luna, she's got a bill on this, which we are going to take up in the House. We're going to take up the Stock Trading Act. That's coming up for sure. We have gone through that piece of legislation. We're going to vote on. It's going to be a question of what the Senate does on that bill. I know a lot of people listening are probably really upset that Pelosi's retiring, because now you're going to be able to like pick your stocks based on what she's picking.
Well, but to be fair, Inverse Kramer beat Pelosi.
Inverse Kramer beat Pelosi.
You have to rely just on Inverse Kramer.
For those that don't know, Jim Cramer, the famous stock TV guy, if you only were to have bought the opposite of what he said to buy, you would have better returns than Nancy Pelosi, who is accused of insider trading to enrich herself.
Who's beating Warren Buffett, by the way.
Pelosi's beating Warren Buffett.
Yes.
Inverse Kramer is beating Warren Buffett?
Yeah,
I got to tell you,
I
I think the secret is that Jim Cramer actually is a savant. He is a genius, and I'm just going to imagine that every time he says not to buy something, he winks.
Yeah. It was like
Don't buy this one.
It reminds me of Seinfeld, Costanza. It's like, I'm just going to start doing the opposite of all of my instincts here.
It was like 08, and he's like, mortgage-backed securities, the greatest thing since sliced bread. Untouchable.
Unbelievable.
So,
yeah, there's actually an app out there. It's like the Pelosi Stock Trader app or whatever, and you can just like whatever her put options are, you can mirror those.
yeah, I haven't been plugging it, but I'm printing off of it. I'll say that.
Let's jump to this and keep the conversation going on what we saw at the Capitol. We've got this from New York Fashion Design Network. That's right. It's the anti-fascist OK flag shirt. It's modeled off of the Gazan flag, essentially. It's a guy saying OK. And as you can see, it is it is an individual one would describe as a chungus, cocking his fist back. And it's based off of punching a young man at a school in Illinois in the face for saying, "I support ICE." And you know what I love about this story, right? We've got it here from Daily Dot. Pro-ICE troll gets punched at school. The kid who did it is now a meme legend. Indeed. To the left, if you violently assault peaceful individuals with different opinions, you're a legend. And the guy said, you're going to get in trouble for that. He says, okay, and then punches him. But you know what I really love about this story? These two young men in Lake Zurich, Illinois. Hey, that's outside of Chicago. These two young men exemplify the culture war so perfectly. The zealous, psychotic, and morbidly obese leftist punching the frail, low-T right-winger. Sorry, right, I'm not cutting any slack. With all due respect to this young man who was the victim of this, conservatives at the macro level have consistently just been like, whoa, slow down, Democrats. And the Democrats have been like, I'm going to go shoot up a Tesla station. And so we've gotten all this terror. We've gotten these mass shooters. We've gotten ICE shootings. And even after leftists went to ICE facilities and CBP facilities and shot cops and shot at people, killing innocent bystanders, they're still like, for what reason would ICE be scared when we show up screaming in their faces with guns? And so you get a story like this, and this is the micro. Some morbidly obese lefty punches a guy who's peacefully protesting, and the guy who gets punched says, you can't do that. You'll get in trouble. Congratulations, Republicans. Keep telling the left they'll get in trouble. No one's holding them accountable.
It's a reflection of the way that conservatives and Republicans in D.C. behave. They don't want to exercise power when they have it. Right. Like, so I don't know what the guy that got punched looked like. I haven't seen this video. But if you're in a position where someone is going to hit you, like, you don't have to wait to be hit to defend yourself. Right. Republicans on Capitol Hill, they should be getting rid of the filibuster in the Senate. They should be doing everything they should be doing all the gerrymandering they can, and they don't do any of it because they're terrified of exercising power. And the argument you constantly hear is, well, what about when the Democrats have, and this is an argument we make all the time on the show. The Democrats have already done it.
Guys, real quick, don't forget what you're going to say. Put a pin in. I have to say this. People often don't understand the definition of irony. And it's difficult to explain it to them if they don't know. It's not super difficult. There's an example I like to give, and it's a fire truck on fire, right? The statement is, of course, the fire truck is intended to put the fire out, but itself is now on fire. That is one form, a principal form of irony. I'm bringing this up because many of you are aware that as we're doing the show, YouTube is down. It's broken. So we're checking Down Detector to determine whether or not YouTube is experiencing problems. But in fact, Down Detector is now down as well. And so I believe it may have just recovered, but there was some reporting that Down Detector is down, which is another perfect example of irony. Anyway, you were going to say something.
Yeah, look, the Democrats, when they say it, they mean it. Like, they do not play games. They play for keeps, and clearly we're not. And I know we're going to get into the redistricting thing here in a little bit. Go look at Indiana. Look at Indiana. These guys had the ability to redistrict. That's a state that Trump won overwhelmingly all 3 times. And they're like, no, we're not going to do it. Meanwhile, over in Virginia, they're like, yeah, we're going 10-1. We're not playing games.
Yep.
We are not playing games.
So I wanted to ask you, because like back earlier, you were talking about with Antifa, and obviously they're ramping up their threats and they're like acting them out, which is the most terrifying part. But like following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, obviously getting Antifa labeled as an FTO was like massive. That was a huge deal, and honestly, a lot of people missed that. That is a big deal. Have you seen anything like on the congressional side? Any sort of seeing that in action, I guess, so to speak? I mean, it's because it's such a massive deal, but I feel like we don't hear about it very often.
Yeah, I've not really seen it in action too much. And just to be clear, any Antifa members, if you are listening, if you set foot on my property, I am going to shoot you. But
that should be a standing order for anyone.
This is West Virginia.
Yeah,
I want to stress West Virginia is not the same as many of these states. Texas probably is the strongest of laws. Texas allows you to shoot someone for threatening your property.
Yes.
Like literally someone could grab your stereo, and in Texas you can shoot them. That's the law. West Virginia is very, very, very good on these laws in terms of protecting your land. West Virginia, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is we went through this with security. You're allowed to defend yourself if someone trespasses on open land, meaning if you've got like 5-acre property, you're taking the garbage out, and someone is coming onto your property threatening you, you don't have to wait, you don't have to flee, you have to run. And it makes sense in places like New Jersey, and New Jersey's, we shouldn't even mention, it's so insane. But Maryland is a good example because you even have Western Maryland just north of the eastern panhandle of West Virginia.
Yep.
You have to flee into your home.
Yep.
Then once you're in your home, if they try to breach the entrance to your home, you're allowed to use lethal force. West Virginia's like, nah.
No, we have castle doctrine here. Castle doctrine.
But Maryland claims to as well.
No, they do not. No. And just to be clear, if you're on my property in a threatening manner, you're getting shot.
Not just like a random guy like he's selling cookies for Antifa.
Yeah.
Antifa bake sale.
Yeah, you can knock on my door if you're the Girl Scouts. Don't worry about it. I haven't really seen too much of it in action. But yeah, look, I mean, it is all of this stuff is ramping up. The Democrats don't play games.
Yeah.
They don't. And I mean, look at we had a Supreme Court rule last term with President Biden on student loans, and they're just like, yeah, we're going to ignore that. Yeah, we're not listening to that. Yeah. We're not doing that.
Bro, it's just hilarious. Check this out. Evan Loves Wharf, SG.
It is insane.
Yeah, he's a lefty, and he's celebrating the violence with 17.1 million views. So here's my pitch, and we need some. Maybe this one's for the Discord community, guys. This one's for you, the Discord community. I want to make a coffee table book that is just every page will be 4 threats or celebrations of violence from leftists. And then I am not even kidding. Because like I see this and these lefties are like, yay, violence against conservatives who are being peaceful. And then when you go to these liberals and say the left is more violent, they go, no, we're not. And it's like, here's the coffee table book. Shut up. There's no arguing anymore. Now, when you're at Thanksgiving, you buy it for Christmas for your liberal aunt and uncle, and you say, look, it's a book of all the times the left threatened to murder people and then did. Or punch people and celebrated it. It's 3,000 pages long.
Breaks the table.
So we talked about it internally here. Like, what do we do to aggregate all these threats? And we were like, it could be tough. We could theoretically go to an AI and say start pulling tweets. We could find historic ones, but if we want to get all the good stuff from Blue Sky, like the funny thing is even Will Stancil, who's another liberal guy, has this viral post where he's like, "I need to get off Blue Sky because you people have gone insane." when the leftists who are insane call the other leftists even more insane, we got a problem. But genuinely, if you're a member of the Discord community, maybe we will put together a project where we start compiling as many of these posts celebrating, encouraging, or engaging in violence, and then we make that coffee table book, and then people can buy it for a decent price, put it on their coffee table, and then they can show their liberal friends who don't believe them.
It's a great idea.
Clean out every forest in America to get paper. One book, just for the proof of concept, we would have to
one book.
Amazon would be gone.
The point you bring up about Will Stancil is actually, I mean, it's crazy because this is an argument that Peterson was making 12, 13 years ago. I forget who it was that kind of, stabbed him in the back, but he had a public Twitter exchange with him, and he was like, look, they're going to do it to you. They always do it to you. They always eat their own. And Will Stancil has been a very, very far left kind of dude for a long time. And now, because I'm not even sure that he did anything significantly bad. They just in Minneapolis decided that he wasn't pure enough, and they started going after him. And then once blood is in the water, then it's over.
Yeah, then it's over. I mean, you remember in the last administration, the greatest threats to America were like practicing Catholics and white nationalists that are roaming the streets.
He declared war on chuds. I was like, hey.
But I mean, to your point, though, that was something that the administration itself said. The greatest threat to America is young white males, straight white males, which is totally ridiculous.
Blood red backdrop, and he's like MAGA extremists are the number one threat to America. That was a declaration of war, by the way.
The MAGA extremists. The most dangerous people out there are actually the white liberal women, white wine resistor moms that are out there just.
It's because the white wine makes you more bubbly, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, woo! You know what I was saying before the show is that the right has testosterone, but not too much. But the left has a ton of estrogen. And, it's funny because people often say, like, testosterone makes you want to fight. Yeah, but estrogen makes you crazy.
Yeah.
And so the left is like, and they're like punching and screaming. And the right has like a moderate amount of testosterone. They're like, well, I don't want to get into a fight with you. The right needs just like to crank up the T by like 2x.
Yeah.
Just get to the point where your heart gives out at 60. But then the guys are going to be like, shut up.
Just a little bit of trenbolone,
Get everybody on TRT. And
I mean, the TRT is not quite what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of something with a little more octane. But
Trembolone sandwich?
Trembolone sandwich, yeah. Get some D-balls flying around there.
if you can hear me, please save me.
Yeah, like, come on, FDA. Like,
I'm going to start putting Trembolone in the water.
It's way better than fluoride. It's way better than fluoride.
It's cooked.
But I mean, the way that the left behaves, like at the very least, you can now clearly see that the left is a problem in the U.S. and it's completely undeniable now. The violent attacks there. You don't see a lot of right wingers doing violent attacks to other people. Like they're just not engaged in it. And to the point we were making earlier today, like a lot of the reason why right wingers don't fight back is because they have something to lose. We talked about this. The left, they don't have anything to lose.
Let me pull this up. We have this post from Graham Linehan, who is highlighting a post from this far lefty named Will Stancil, who has realized the left is insane. So let me just give you the quick gist. A leftist has realized that Blue Sky is full of crazier leftists than him, and he doesn't want to play this game anymore. Graham says, so funny, a bunch of people who knew they'd soon be answering tough questions on child experimentation, trans violence, etc., all left X for another site, which they promptly turned into such a woke nightmare that even Will Stancil can't take it. He said on Blue Sky, man, every day I wonder if I shouldn't just delete my account on here maybe. Opening Blue Sky makes me want to actually walk in front of a truck. I don't think people on here understand how crazy they've gotten. It's this endless feedback loop of self-radicalization built around some of the most toxic personalities I've ever encountered. It would be nice to talk about politics without being in a blizzard of seething hatred and abuse all the time. That's what I've been saying. And then he says they're largely blocked, but it doesn't matter because we share a social space and many of them have tens of thousands of followers, and their absolute derangement is making the social space intolerable. I love that this leftist who does exactly what he's describing to the rest of us is now experiencing exactly what he does to him.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. It's an ironic kind of day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just lots of irony milling about.
Yeah,
I mean, I wish we could, and someday it'll all kind of be out there, but the amount of threats that Republican congressmen get, death threats on a daily basis is staggering, the number. I mean, it is unbelievable. And of course, you got to look at all of these because you don't know if somebody's saying something on the internet and then it becomes a reality, right? Yeah. And many times they'll post something and then something happens, right? And we've had not just me, many people, many members, Republicans, people showing up at their house, this, that, threatening their families, showing up to schools, all of this stuff. I mean, there is no line. There is no line for the Democrats. They are going to find you wherever you are, and they're going to threaten you and perhaps even inflict violence on you because you do not agree with them.
Well, they were greenlit at every step of the way. Like, I mean, you saw like 2016 at the campuses when the Ben Shapiro, Milo would turn up and they would literally be flooded, firebombed, etc. Total impunity. I mean, even saw during COVID, like everyone always forgets this. Tucker Carlson's house got like sieged by like a ton of leftist protests.
Yeah, and they cracked the door.
SCOTUS got
no one ever talks about it.
There's a bunch of people there were a bunch of people that were going outside of the people in SCOTUS.
Trying to bust the door down.
Yeah. And it's good that you mentioned the Ben Shapiro and the Milo Yiannopoulos stuff. Like there was so many arguments online because that was when punch a Nazi kind of came back into the common phrase, and the arguments that were being made, it was like, look, and this is an argument I made to people that were in the music industry. I'm like, look, you can't say that. Like you can't punch a Nazi. Like that's only going to lead to more violence. It's going to lead to more actual Nazis. It's going to lead to more violence. It's going to escalate everything. And now, this year there was Charlie Kirk. There was two attempts. Last year there was Charlie Kirk. There was 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life. Prior to that, like this is the fruition of the predictions made in 2016, 2017.
And someone shot at this property 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're going to Riley's house. They're making threats on Congress. Like this doesn't get better by saying, no, we should punch a Nazi. And a chud guy, making shirts about it. They're still glorifying it.
Not a chud.
Okay.
Disavow. As a proud chud, disavow.
Whatever you want to call him. But the point being, like,
Chungus would be the
Chungus.
Okay, the academic term, yeah.
He wasn't a wholesome chungus. Though. He was just a regular
Intellectual term we like to use, yeah.
But the point remains, like, with the glorification of Luigi Mangione, like this is just going to make more violence, and this is why Tim and I say it's like, where's the off ramp? How do you diffuse this stuff? And I don't see a way to do it.
Well, look, one of their guys back in the day said, by any means necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, they say
it was an organization.
Yeah.
Also, the punch and that's what was crazy because then they would post pictures of like the guys storming Normandy, and they were like, "This is what an anti-fascist look like." And then if you regurgitate the average political beliefs of a World War II infantryman, then they call you a Nazi.
Well, that was the Freedom Tunes, one of Seamus's biggest cartoons, where the woke bring World War II soldiers to the future to help them fight the Nazis.
Yeah.
And then the World War II soldiers are like, wait a minute, you're doing what? When they realize what the left is actually trying to do.
The mayor of New York City's name is what?
Yeah. Well, you heard the call to prayer in New York, right?
Yeah.
People are getting freaked out.
Yes.
I want to throw this in the mix real quick and give a shout out to the left for becoming QAnon. Ellen Barkin, she's a prominent lefty. She's like a TV show producer or something like that. She said, the number of people in this administration connected to Jeffrey Epstein is stupefying. It is correct to say we are a country run by a cabal of real-life pedophiles and sex traffickers whose crimes are more horrendous than we can imagine. How much more can we take? Lady, like 10 years ago, all these Trump supporters were screaming exactly what you were saying. And I'd be willing to bet you can go through her timeline and find a bunch of tweets where she's claiming this exact thing is not true.
Yeah.
So my point here is not to bring up the Epstein stuff in this context. It's to point out that the left has become the right. They're claiming the election was stolen. Have you guys seen these viral conspiracy subreddits and forums that exist?
Mm-mm.
I brought them up quite a bit. I'll try and pull one up again. But they're basically saying that Elon admitted to stealing the election. He rigged the servers.
You Starlink satellites.
That's right.
You use Starlink
It's
satellites.
at every level. Like they're using like Cato Institute lines to like attack tariffs. They're like, now that Trump is like pro-tariff, now they're like, free trade is like a vital
political fan.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Who are you people?
Like I was critical of tariffs. Like I have a background. I was in like being like a libertarian kind of dude, right? Like, and I'm not a libertarian anymore. And one of the reasons is a lot of the things that you kind of assumed were true as a libertarian, they seem to not be, right? Like, I mean, I understand if you're a bear long enough, bad things are going to happen. But like, if you look at the tariffs, like it is not panned out the way all the libertarians and the Cato Institute and all
Not
those
at
people
all.
said. And I'll be the first person to admit I was wrong. I was like, I've said, on the show, I was like, I don't think tariffs are probably a good idea. I'm not an economist, but like obviously because I was wrong about it. But then again, there were so many people that are libertarians. They're like swearing up and down. The tariffs are going to do this. The tariffs are going to do that. Well, if you say the tariffs are going to do, if you say bad thing is going to happen long enough, the bad thing will happen, and then you can be like, oh look, see, I was right. A bad thing happened.
Yeah, they're literally like recycling like Newt Gingrich talking points on like tariffs. It's crazy.
To be fair, how many people, publicly facing or otherwise, would just say what Phil just said? Hey, I was wrong. Actually, this worked. Basically, nobody. Which is to
I haven't looked. I'm
credit,
sure the chat's talking about how
Certainly
stupid
not
I am.
me.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I mean, but no, I mean to your credit. I mean, that's now me obviously being a West Virginian. We are very pro-tariff. Like, this is something that we have watched globalization destroy us over the last several decades, from NAFTA and so on and so forth. I mean, it has happened where steel mills just shutting down, our jobs shipped overseas. So for me, I was 2 feet in. One of the first bills I introduced was a reciprocal tariff bill. That's something that I feel really strongly about. But at the end of the day, yes, balanced trade is a good thing. It is a good thing to have balanced trade, and we have the ability to balance it and to reinvigorate manufacturing in the United States. It actually evens the playing field for our manufacturers, because that cheap product from China now has to compete at the same price point as our manufacturers, and the consumer, which they have said, oh, this is going to get passed down to the consumer. It's a tax on them. They're willing to eat it to be able to participate in the greatest consumer market on the face of the planet.
There was like a leftist Substack where they were arguing that tariffs uniquely punish POCs, and that's why we should be opposed to it.
Well, that's true, I guess. But there was this video that I did a comment on for the Tim Pool show this morning, which is a guy claiming he's explaining why MAGA is a cult. And in it, he basically says that they're not driven by facts or policy, they're driven by revenge. And it's clearly wrong, because anybody who tracks the polling data knows that Trump only won through a coalition, which included libertarians and moderates who 2-to-1 lean right, or at least did a year ago. And now things are kind of changing. You can see this in the comedic podcast space. They're kind of getting salty. But I digress. The point that I bring up, the reason why I bring this up is that there's reasons why I supported Donald Trump and I voted for him, and tariffs are one of the biggest issues. And all these libs come out as academic experts on the issue of tariffs now, having never cared about this in the past. But I can tell you exactly why it mattered to me and skateboarding. So here's the way a skateboard's made. They get some lumber from either the Pacific Northwest or Canada. It's a North American rock maple, either Canadian or American. Send it to China, where a Chinese laborer will make these boards for pennies on the dollar, and then send it back to the U.S. That's actually a waste of energy. But because a Chinese peasant is willing to work for a cheaper rate than an American, we don't make skateboards here anymore. And over the last 15 years, the skateboard industry has collapsed because there's no more skate industry. We don't make skateboards. If you don't make skateboards, there's no skateboarding jobs. So how are you going to sponsor a professional skateboarder if there's no company making skateboards that needs to advertise that they make skateboards, because they're all made in China? So right now in Southeast Asia, skateboarding is bigger than ever. They're opening skate parks in theme parks. That's how popular it is. And there's too many people. It's miserable, actually. I wouldn't want to go. Me, I'd show up and there's kids sitting everywhere playing. That's how popular it is in the United States. It is gone. So when Trump says we are going to tariff China, and China says we're going to tariff back, I'm laughing. You know why? Because what happens then is we tear down a tree in the United States, send it to China, who says tariff on that lumber to their factories. So now that lumber is going up by 100%. Then they make a skateboard, send it to the U.S., and the U.S. says tariff on that skateboard. It turns a Chinese-made skateboard from $35 upwards of $100 a board.
Yep. The
American-made boards that we sell at Booney's HQ are $35 boards. And then we sell them for $55 because a portion goes to the rider, a portion goes to cover general administrative costs, and then we have, our profit margin, which is relatively low. But if you start tariffing China, we stop having to compete with peasants in third world countries, and we can bring our culture industries back.
Yeah, look, this is the only workforce on the face of the planet that has to compete with every worker in the world in their own country.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, like that's
Literally.
we are the only ones, and so. And of course, there's a national security component to this that I've been really hot on, is that if we don't have internalized supply chains and we're not able to make things here in the United States, that will be a problem down the road. You look at World War II, where we turned, Singer Sewing Company and that started making gun parts, and IBM and everybody else into the war effort, right? There is a point, there's a deterrent factor to having an industrial base, not talking about defense industrial, an industrial base that can deter adversaries because our capacity to outbuild them.
That's why Andrew's got such a great idea, the defense company, right? They
yeah.
They want to build like modern weapons, but they want to use existing parts and technology. So that way, if something goes, like if they need to make 1,000 of them, they don't have to have all this special manufacturing for it. They can go in. It's the defense industry kind of idea of like run down to Radio Shack.
Yeah.
And I'm dating myself there, but to be able to buy the parts you need right there, available on the market already.
And the whole tariff conversation was just like people were arguing past each other. I was arguing with this libertarian guy, and I was talking. I was talking about and I was talking about the tariffs, and I was like, no, we need tariffs. We need to protect our industry against like getting undercut by, like, I use Bengali's as Bangladesh as a specific example. And he's like, okay, well, if you introduce tariffs to keep the manufacturing sector in America stimulated, you need to bring in more migrants. And I was like, I don't think you understand. I'm making the argument that I don't want to compete against people from Bangladesh for money and labor and all these things. And it's just like, he doesn't understand. Like he's just like economy brained. And I'm like, we're a country, we're a nation. We need to protect this.
It's graph go up. Now, I do want to defend libertarians a little bit and give them a shout out, because as much as I can disagree on where the policy goes, I respect that we always agree on the facts. That I know that the libertarians can come on the show and we'll agree, like, here's base reality. Now let's argue how it should go after this. And we disagree, so I'll make fun of them, but it's okay because we're friends. But let's do this. Let's jump to this next story from WHRO. Supreme Court of Virginia greenlights redistricting referendum. To put it simply, they're eradicating 4 Republican seats, I believe 4, right?
Yep.
From the state of Virginia. All in all, this is going to, you know what? Let me just stop and say this. The conversation is over. With the redistricting effort that we are seeing across the country, there are no longer going to be swing districts. It's going to be Democrat districts and Republican districts, and winning as the opposition party, not going to happen. Now, the scary thing is, this means the conversation has ended because there's no more political debate. The Democrat in the district can say to the Republicans, nah, you can't win no matter what you do. I don't have to pander to you anymore. This means in these districts where they might try and be moderate and say, no, we're not going to be in favor of insert far left policy or insert far right policy. Now they're going to be like, far left it is, because I'm in a primary and I got to beat this other Democrat, not a Republican. So that means at the federal level, what are we going to see? You combine this with geographic hyperpolarization. That is, people are leaving. Conservative-leaning individuals have left California and New York, which means those districts, so California and New York, are going to lose congressional seats. Good thing. However, it means the remaining districts with less moderate and conservative voices, the primaries are going to be socialist. So typically the primary is around the range in the party from the moderate Democrat to the far left. And you've got to kind of pander in between, because there's going to be New York moderate Democrats who are going to be like, I don't know about that child sex change stuff. Well, those moderates have left because of the insanity of New York. And now this is shifting the Overton window of the Democratic Party. So now you're going to have, okay, sex changes for minors after 12, but, not before, and then sex changes for minors at any age. That's going to be the new argument. Yeah. So at the federal level, you are going to have extremely far left, and I said there's not going to be any far right. It's going to be like moderate, slow down there Democrat types, because conservatives are still, even in deep red places, not functioning all that well.
Yeah, the deeper the red, like the worse the GOP actually is. Like South Carolina is like some of the worst politicians in the country, and that's a ruby red state.
I'll put it like this: the Republican Party is not a unified cult like the Democratic Party largely is. Now, don't get me wrong; they eat each other alive all the time, but I would describe the right as a coalition of various right-leaning to moderate ideologies. And the left is a murmuration.
Right.
They don't really have a leader. They're floating around randomly, but they still follow the pack.
Well, and also, like, a big problem is on the right, our activist base makes podcasts. Where on the left, the activist base literally
kills people.
They either kill people or they get involved in their state or even county Democrat Party. Like, for example, in California, if you look at Berkeley and you go, like, the New York Times always puts out like the precinct by precinct voting map. There's precincts in Berkeley, California, probably other places, but I saw in Berkeley where the Green Party outperformed the Democrat Party. So it's like the activist base in the Democrat Party is very involved in the way things go. And if they don't get their way, they'll literally just go and vote for the Green Party in like these deepest red places. Where in the Republican Party, people just get like demoralized and just step away from the table entirely.
So the one thing that, and this will shift it even more, right, left, Voting Rights Act. So when the Voting Rights Act gets, and I believe it'll be struck down, those blue seats that are there just by the nature of we have to carve out a minority district in southern states due to the Voting Rights Act, once that gets struck down, all those seats, I mean, look, you got Democrats hold seats in Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, I mean, all these types of places because you have to carve out these districts. The South will just be solidly red. There will not be one Democrat seat left. Now, for us, that's good news. But then we have states like Indiana who they're letting us all down. I mean, it's just a total failure. They're not stepping up to this. And for some reason, I guess they think this is a game. But the Democrats, they are not playing. They're not playing on this. In California, there are 53 seats in California. We will be lucky if we have 4 or 5 left. After these elections.
Yeah. So the projection is Democrats are going to win not by an election, but by just cutting out Republican districts. It's not exaggerating. The projection for the 2026 midterm election is that Democrats will be up by, I think it's like 5 seats, by sheer brute force, not by the actual election results. So again, I'll stress, after redistricting is over, you will see solid blue with some strong blue, solid red with some strong red, meaning there's no swing districts, and Democrats outnumber Republicans. There's not going to be a conversation.
Yeah, I think the Voting Rights Act will go the right way for us, but it won't happen before the actual 2026 elections. They got a rule by July 1, but that's past primaries for a lot of states, so that won't matter. This 10-1 map, look, there's one last chance to stop it. If you live in Virginia, there's a referendum that's going to go out. Please vote against this referendum. The Supreme Court in the state of Virginia has greenlit this, so the referendum is going to happen. Vote for your rights. Vote for your country. Vote for your freedom. Go out and get everybody you know to vote to stop this referendum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Virginia is a great example for what their plans are for the country, because that's a state that's like, at best, 53, 47 probably.
Oh, yeah, it's close.
And so it's like, you see California and New York, it's like, that's what they can do with a razor-thin majority with the entire country if they are to get back in power.
We just got to make D.C. square again.
Totally.
Yes.
I love the idea.
I am actually for that. That was the original intent for the District of Columbia. That's the way it was designed until Virginia took that land back. Give them Arlington and portions of Alexandria back to the District of Columbia. And that's the way the city was designed.
People aren't supposed to be living in D.C. this way.
Yep.
It's supposed to be a federal district for the administration of a union.
Correct.
But it's become a city-state. And now they want statehood, or the liberals want to get statehood, they want to give it senators, and that defies the function of a federal district.
Yep.
Right. I know, I'm just like, okay, lop it off back to Maryland, then you get your representation. It's like, no, it has to be, they have their own unique culture in D.C.
No, they don't.
Talking about
they
culture
don't at all.
People.
Would you say a unique culture votes 94% one way? They
Right?
vote, 94% of them, something like that, 90+% voted for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so that is not a unique and diverse culture of thoughts and opinions.
We have this unique cultural tradition. It's like a carjacking. It's a really...
You're talking about South Africa?
Yeah, literally. Might as well be at this point. Jeez. Yeah, no, it's totally ridiculous. But yeah, make DC square again, and then we have more room to build more Arc de Trumps too. Like there's a few, a few roundabouts. I've seen some. Every time I go to a roundabout now and I see a green space, I just see an arc every single time.
With Trump's face just right in the middle looking at you?
Yeah, I like, because the proposals came out and one is like really gaudy with like gold all over it. I'm like, I want that one. I want that one actually.
But that's his style. That's why you should. Yeah, he's all about the gold.
For generations, everyone will see it and they'll be like, "Oh, Trump built that."
Oh yeah,
because all the other arches they could pass it off in 100 years. Like, Biden built that. No, we need like gold, laser, fog machine, everything.
I've been saying this for the past couple of weeks. Trump is not Lincoln. Trump is Buchanan. And someone else tweeted this. Who was it? Was it Barris or Rasmussen? I can't remember who tweeted it. They tweeted, What would Abraham Lincoln do about voter fraud? What would Buchanan have done about voter fraud? And that's kind of the point I think a lot of people are seeing. Right now, we are in a state of crisis in this country, undeniably. This redistricting effort is the end of the congressional conversation. It's supposed to be, it's not even supposed to be this two-party system, but that was bad enough. Now we're getting uniparty. And when you have a federal Congress where the left is unified and the right is a permanent minority, you are going to have effective no representation.
Yeah.
Well, this means people are eventually going to say, I'm not going to let you open the border to 30 million more people. And so if you can't speak, then what do people do? Bad things. Now, the question is, while all this really bad stuff is happening, what do you think Abraham Lincoln would have done? We don't need to question because we watched what he did before he got into office. Abraham Lincoln got elected, and the initial inauguration was in March back in the day. And in this interim period, 7 states seceded from the Union. The moment homeboy gets in, he's like, rally the troops, we're shutting this down. Buchanan tried appeasement, negotiations, compromise, and slow rolls, and it didn't work, and it led to the crisis. So I don't see Donald Trump as a Lincoln figure. I see him as a Buchanan figure. He is trying to play politics. He is taking a soft touch. He is pulling out of Minnesota, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but he is making the much lighter and weaker moves that are not actually dealing with the issues. And I think what we've seen already is that you can just do things. The Democrats certainly have for a long time, and they don't care what's true. So again, I made reference to this video earlier in the day that I commented on where a guy says the MAGA's a cult. And he said it's because federal agents killed 2 people and they make excuses for it. It's like, well, I can give you all the reasons in the world why people on the right and moderates have argued whether or not there was a justification for the shooting of Alex Preddy or of Renee Good. Not that the entirety of the right is celebrating it. But the issue is that Democrats arrested Trump's lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure everyone understands this because I know you do, but the liberals don't know the facts. They don't understand what's going on in the world. Democrats had Trump's legal counsel arrested for simply being his legal counsel under the argument that providing legal counsel to Trump was a criminal conspiracy, despite the fact it is constitutionally protected. Any criminal can hire a lawyer to give him advice on what he can or can't do. And the left argued to me on the Culture War show, or a leftist did, a liberal, that, well, she was advising on crimes. When you are running a business and you don't know if you're allowed to do certain things, like let's take a call sheet, for instance. Is it insider trading, right? If I call my lawyer and say, is it insider trading if I make a trade on something that I know the results to because I know someone in Congress? Let's say they go, well, if you're not involved in the trade and the information from this member of Congress is in any way public, not necessarily widespread, you're good. Then I go, okay, so make the trade, right? Then the next administration says, you're under arrest. They arrest my lawyer for giving me advice on what they deemed later was criminal. Because the lawyer, that's the level of psychotic behavior we are getting from the left. So I stress this. Donald Trump is staring down the barrel of Democrats that don't care what's true and a voter base that doesn't know what's going on. You try to placate that, you lose. I'm not going to pretend to have good advice for Trump or for the right for the most part. I can certainly give some advice. I don't know, and I'm going to pretend to know what's going on behind the scenes. But oh boy, let's just get ready for 2028, or I should say for 2020, at the end of 2026 to 2028, Democrats are going to have Congress, and they're going to fire off subpoenas at full auto, and they're going to start locking up Trump supporters through bogus lying to Congress and contempt of Congress charges like they already did before.
Yeah, they've done that before. Remember, Peter Navarro went to prison.
That's right.
Yep, Peter Navarro went to prison, worked in the White House. I mean, they will lock our folks up. And, you know, look, I stay a little more optimistic, obviously, that in hopes that we can retain and keep the House. I think maybe in the second quarter of this year, moving into the third quarter, we'll have some economic numbers and people can actually feel it, that things are moving in the right direction. Hopefully could help us, but it does not look good right now. But particularly with the redistricting going on and all this, it doesn't look good.
But, you know, in all fairness, Riley, it's easy for you to be optimistic. West Virginia is mountainous and highly defensible.
Right. Yeah, this is true. This is very true. And we got great state laws here. But, yeah.
The reason why, despite being an East Coast state, it's not very densely populated is because of the mountains. It's very difficult to, in the early days, to get materials through the mountains, through the hills. And so only the toughest, I don't mean this to kind of blow smoke up West Virginia's ass, but it's true, only the most hardened individuals who could survive these conditions and carry the supplies actually ended up settling in this area. So even to this day, it's not very densely populated because of how difficult it was. At the same time, it's also the safest place in terms of natural disasters and war, or I should say at least one of, in the United States. There's a variety of questions about what kind of war you'd face. But in the event of like ground invasion, mountainous, difficult to navigate, highly defensible for the people who live there. In terms of flooding and natural disasters, I'll throw it to our storm weather friend, Ben Davidson, who shows if the Great Flood happens, West Virginia is the only place in the United States like not swept up. So even when you get to the more the more like out there theories of like mass floods, West Virginia's okay.
Yeah,
We're good.
And everybody's armed to the teeth here.
I think the Chamber of Commerce in West Virginia picked it up as a slogan: highly defensible for ground invasion.
Highly defensible for
great.
ground invasions.
Yeah.
Everybody, and look, if you are an actual Republican and a real conservative, and you live in Virginia, I would invite you to come to Best Virginia. Just leave. It's over. Sorry, you've lost.
I don't know if it's just like people tweeting just to tweet, but I see these like proposals of all these bordering counties in Virginia and potentially Maryland of like joining in West Virginia.
Well, yeah, but Virginia would have to agree to that. They're never going to agree to that. There is one specific county, actually Frederick County, Virginia, where Winchester is. After the Civil War, these bordering counties got to hold referendums if they wanted to join West Virginia or not. And to this day, Frederick County, Virginia has never held the referendum, and that law is still on the books. If they wanted to, they could still do it.
That's Winchester, right?
Yep.
They definitely got to do
Winchester like a separate micro county, so they could just join West Virginia and surround Winchester?
Well, I mean, look, we'll take the whole thing because we would love to get another congressional district back because it gets us another electoral vote, which helps everybody in the presidential elections.
State of West Virginia has sieged Winchester.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we should go in and take it, right? You know,
honestly, there's some good restaurants.
I mean, I don't see that they'd put up all that much resistance. You know?
Yeah, probably not.
It's probably
Like an art school
you know,
there.
greeted as liberators and you know.
Yeah, the Old Town's nice. I think that's it's not highly defensible. We could take it easy.
We'll finally get a Costco. You know, they have one in Winchester. We want your Costco.
Let's jump to this story from the Hungarian Conservative.
Whoa.
Watch progressive icon Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez completely embarrass herself. Now, I must stress, I actually am much more excited to talk about Zoran Mamdani gutting the New York rainy day fund and retirement funds because communism doesn't work, but we'll get there. In the meantime, communist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to be president, so she went to the Munich Security Conference, of which I'm baffled why she went. I got to be honest. AOC, as a member of Congress, and her is she even on any committee related to security and national defense or anything?
No.
What is she doing at this conference? I have no idea, except I do. She wants to run for president, so she needs to start creating an image of herself discussing worldly affairs.
Yep.
Well, the good news for all of us is, oh boy, listen to this.
Should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
You know, I think that this is such a, you know, I think that this is this is, of course, a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point.
I love this so much. It's like
Nailed it.
It's just it's like Mr. President, we are concerned about auto manufacturing in the United States. What can you say to the American people to assure them that their jobs are safe? Well, jobs are important to Americans, and a longstanding policy of ours has always been jobs. And everybody knows cars are great, especially when they're car jobs. Now, I believe in America, and America is a great place for people who like cars. Cars are great, and you know what? That's what it really is to be an American, to think about things that you like. Because we love America. America's a great place. Thank you.
That was actually better though, because you didn't have like the long pauses in there, like you could see her mind working. Like Taiwan,
lost
where
the
the hell is
question.
that?
You can.
This is the issue: is that I don't think she knows. I'm going to be completely honest. Okay, I was making fun of her, but I'm going to say this in all seriousness. I don't think AOC knows where Taiwan is. I don't think she knows what the conflict is.
Yeah.
I think she has a general surface level of there is a policy to protect Taiwan, but she doesn't know enough about it to opine even to like beyond a surface level. And you know what the problem is? There's a couple reasons why I'm going to say she's not qualified to be president. There's actually a plethora, a litany. But I will just say this first and foremost. You need to have an actual answer on this issue pertaining to U.S. intervention in foreign conflict in the Pacific theater. All that's fine. However, I would still, to a certain degree, give a passing grade to a response that was very deferential and non-committal. Like if she had said, if when they asked a question, she went, "Wow, that is a very difficult question."
If she'd have said, "What is Aleppo?"
Well, no. My point is this. That's a fail. Gary Johnson failed. If her response was, that is an incredibly difficult question that I don't feel qualified right now to answer, given the debate is ongoing, and I don't have access to national security information pertaining to what that would mean. So it would be ignorant of me to make a claim on the world stage at the Munich Security Conference that I would commit to something without having access to national security information. That's a great answer.
I got to point something out here real quick, though. Members in the House, it is a policy when we are in a partial shutdown or a full shutdown are not allowed to travel internationally. That's the rule. I don't know how she paid to get over there. That will be disclosed later. If the U.S. taxpayer paid for her to be there, that's a potential. Or she paid for it out of her campaign. But if it was paid for by taxpayer money, that is the policy of the House. She's not supposed to be there. We're in a partial shutdown. The Department of Homeland Security is currently unfunded.
Yeah, but she's AOC.
She is AOC.
She could accidentally shatter the filibuster record if they just ask her a question about geopolitics. She's there for like 10 hours, just like, well,
You could tell she was like trying to reach in the recesses of her mind to like this canned answer that they had given her, like standing policy.
like gears with like spider webs on it, like just turning.
But she's not leadership material. Because here's the point about Gary Johnson I've made 1,000,001 times. For those that aren't familiar, Gary Johnson famously, this was the 2015 cycle, was asked what would he do about Aleppo, and he goes, "And what is Aleppo?" The interviewer goes, "You're kidding."
This is at the height of the Syrian war.
Right.
You know.
Donald Trump is a master statesman for all the right and wrong reasons. The way Trump answers a question about something like this. So I'll throw it to you, Riley. Riley, ask me a question, but make up a random word. Say, ask me about something.
What do you think about the Johnson rod in your car?
Well, I know a lot of people have been talking about Johnson rot, but it's not something that I'm focused on in the immediate because jobs matter so much more. And, you get into these conversations about Johnson rot and the American people say, what the hell are you even talking about? My job, my gas prices. See, that's what Trump does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He just pretends like what you're saying doesn't matter.
He calls it the weave.
Yep.
He's so good at it. He's so good at it.
What is Aleppo? He'd be like, what will we do with Aleppo? What wouldn't we do with Aleppo?
No, his literal response would be like, look, I know everybody's asking about Aleppo, and of course, when we get in there, we'll take a look at what's going on, but the American people right now are concerned about jobs, and they don't want open borders, they want immigration. They just you're gone.
Look, I'll tell you this, that answer that she gave will not matter one single bit to the liberals in this country. That does not matter to them.
Not only to the liberals, but to the average American either. Because
nobody wins or loses elections on foreign policy.
That's why we had to go to that's why we had to go to the HungarianConservative.com to get the.
No. I'm not. That's not even a joke. When I Google searched this, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Look. I'm sorry. Real quick. The New York Times wrote about it, but it was a defense of AOC where she called the New York Times and said, "Here's what I want you to publish about my statement." There's no major outlet writing that AOC stuttered on the world stage and gave a non-answer.
That's why the Europeans are writing about it. Like, hey guys, who did you just send over here?
This is a point that I really need to reaffirm. Like, I catch a lot of hell because I say that AOC is the most dangerous Democrat going right now. She is extremely politically talented. Just like you said, this will not matter in a general election. The American people will not care. She's incredibly charismatic. She knows she's incredibly politically talented. And all the people that are going to be like, oh, look, she's too dumb to be president, blah, blah, blah. even like I agree that she doesn't have nearly the political chops when it comes to foreign policy or knowing about the economy or knowing about things that are actually important. None of that stuff matters. Everyone that gets elected on charisma. It is 100% a possibility that she gets elected, and she is the most dangerous Democrat. And Riley, you were saying earlier, please back me up.
She is the most dangerous Democrat out there. And take this to the bank. If she runs in that Democrat primary, I think she wins.
Yeah.
I think she wins that primary. She's a fundraising machine. She's raising nearly $10 million a quarter right now as a House member. And she is personally very engaged.
Wait, how much? 10 million
a quarter.
What?
Yeah.
She's pulling in $40 million a year.
Yeah.
What does she do with it?
Banking it.
Wow. And she can, there are ways for her to spend it on herself, right?
Yeah. Well, and she's building the machine.
Yeah.
She's getting ready. And so
You know
she's
what?
going to make a decision. Is it Senate? Am I going to go take out Chuck Schumer? Am I running for president?
Schumer's
She's
the
a
way to go.
movement.
Yep.
Schumer's the way to go.
Yeah.
President is such a long shot, and you miss, you're cooked.
Yep.
But Senate makes a lot of sense because Schumer sucks. And
She can go for 2 years. Barack Obama was the junior senator from Illinois.
Yep.
And then he was the president.
bro,
She
when
can do the
Obama
exact
got
same
elected
thing.
to the Senate, he was immediately asked, "Will you run for president?"
Yep.
I remember I was like a teenager and I was watching this and I was like, oh, they were like, now that you've won, will you run for president? Like, oh, we'll see. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Same thing will happen with AOC. She will not serve. I mean, maybe she serves 2 terms, right? And she gets in. Maybe she serves 2 terms and she gets to 45 years old.
Yeah, I
before
mean,
she
she's in
runs.
her mid-30s.
She's like, I just looked and she's like 39, I think. Or no, she's 36 right now. So like just barely eligible.
Yeah.
You know, and like so if she were to get into the Senate, because generally it's really, really hard for Congress people to win the presidency.
Yep.
But a senator has the gravitas or whatever after spending a little time in the Senate. That is the most likely route
Well,
for her,
and
I
if
think.
she gets to the Senate is a very guarded place. And she won't be saying goofy things.
Yep.
There won't be that, it's a very guarded place. This is why they can kind of manage reputation a little bit easier over there in the Senate. But she is, I am telling you, personally, she is an engaging person. And to Phil's point, why that is so scary, because it does come down to charisma. And she is a movement. And if you don't believe she's leading that party, remember everybody laughed at the Green New Deal. Ha, ha, ha. It became the law of the land.
Yeah, what people don't even realize that the Inflation Reduction Act was just the Green New Deal.
Yeah, that's
But
her bill.
It's the same bill. Exactly.
Everybody
It's
was
the same
laughing
thing.
at her, and she literally changed the country for the worst. I mean, one of the worst pieces of legislation ever passed. She came up with it.
Yo, YouTube is running it must be under attack. Sorry,
I'm seeing too.
it's under attack, right? Are you seeing posts about it?
I'm seeing a lot of stuff, especially in the
So,
chat.
YouTube just now, when I refreshed it, because we're checking because the page has been down, had a CAPTCHA block on Google.com, which it looks like YouTube is under a cyber attack. And the point of doing that is to block out bot traffic. Basically, it looks like a DDoS attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I will say about AOC is, Riley, remember when she fabricated that story about January 6th and she claimed that the cop came to her office and she thought she was going to die because of J6's founder, despite the fact that what she was describing happened an hour before anyone breached the building, which makes you wonder how it is she knew the building was going to be breached. Did she have foreknowledge of January 6th?
Who knows? I don't know, but I know this. That story you just told that she told to all of us, everyone believes is true. Like this story of, they were knocking down the door and I was barricaded. That's like knowledge now. That's like a fact.
Well, I think on the right, everyone knows she fabricated it because that was a
Yeah.
big story.
But
But on
to-
the left, they don't know anything.
No, but to her,
I mean,
people,
bro,
it's real.
Remember when Homeboy took the fire alarm thing off the door and then pulled the fire alarm? He put the emergency sign up the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't go to jail.
No, and like Phil's been saying this, I mean, literally for years. He's going to end up being proven right on this. Alexandria she's a problem.
Yeah, she is the most dangerous person in DC. She's the most dangerous Democrat.
Well, because Republicans, conservatives broadly have this problem where like the candidates that we think the Democrats should pick are never actually in line with what the base actually wants in the Democrat Party. Where like Republicans are always like fixated like on this boogeyman that Michelle Obama is going to like change your mind and like run for president, or like Gavin Newsom's this obvious shoo-in for the Democrats. Like the Democrat base wants to go as radical as possible right now. AOC fits that bill perfectly. Like, on what planet would they not pull that lever? They're so angry right now.
And don't forget, Bernie is handing over his entire network and operation to her. She is inheriting that. There's a reason the two of them have been out on the road together.
Yeah, well, that's what you saw. You saw that video after Zoran won, and he goes and visits Bernie, and it was literally like Obi-Wan and Luke. Like it was like a passing of the torch. Like, great work, I can finally retire now. Like you're taking, because it's like that's a very real thing. Like that was like a figurative passing of the torch that we were watching.
Oh yeah,
but it's getting even. I mean, they're cranking it up to an 11.
Let's talk about the direction this country is going in, and we'll start with this video here from our friend Zoran Mamdani, who has publicly stated he's looting New York City.
Would rather do is ensure that they remain as they are so that the city can be on firm financial footing. However, in order to get to this point of closing the gap on both this fiscal year and the next fiscal year, we are forced to raid the rainy day fund, the retiree health benefits trust reserve, and to increase property taxes across these other years. Would rather.
Wow. That's insane, man. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Here. Welcome to New York City. We call it San Francisco Jr.
Unbelievable.
That is feces.
Is filled with shit. Like this.
Bro, it's been only a couple of months.
That's literally an S storm.
Yeah, literally.
Man. So we have this, and this Geiger Capital guy said, sell morons on taxing the billionaires, immediately raise property tax on every middle-class family in New York. To which this guy responds, 67% of New York City residents don't own any property in the city. The notion that this is a tax hike primarily on normal working New Yorkers is an absolute joke. And I'm going to give a shout out to our good friend Hassan Piker for making me apprised of this, because he retweeted it, because leftists don't understand economics in the slightest. Nope. So let me try and explain it to you. 89% of residential rentals in New York City are run by businesses, not individual millionaires and billionaires. They're actually companies that maintain and staff these buildings, because having a place to live requires fixing plumbing, fixing the heaters, making sure the front door works, cleaning the hallways. This is why they're superintendents. Now, when you raise property taxes on everybody, including some of these businesses only have like 10 units. They're small businesses that maintain it so that you don't have to pay property taxes or other fees, or often your water bill. Now that they're going to raise the property taxes, one of two things is going to happen. They're simply going to pass that expense off to you, and your rents will increase. Knowing commie New York, however, they're probably going to try and rent control, which means the business owners have already done this. We're going to see rent versus cost price inversion. This means that it becomes more expensive to rent the property out than to just do nothing with it and sit on it as an empty asset. So if you own the property, they increase the property taxes. The business that runs it says it's no longer a viable business. They will sell off the property or abandon it. And then what happens? You are going to get empty buildings, bankrupt businesses, loss of jobs, and the best part, slumlords.
Yep.
These people don't understand a lick of economics. I saw a great video where this old guy is arguing with a lefty in the street. And he's like, you think that I should pay 70% of my income after $2 million? And the guy goes, yes, and 75% for every dollar after that. And he goes, okay, once I reach $2 million in income, I'm going to furlough all of my employees, and I'm going to go play golf and go on my yacht for the remainder of the year. And now nobody works, because they don't understand how economics works. So congratulations to all the commies in New York for watching your retiree health savings get looted and your property taxes spike.
Yeah. Also, like it's tough for people that don't live or haven't been in New York City or understand like how the outer boroughs work. But like the majority of properties in New York City are still single family homes, like Queens, Brooklyn, and then pretty much the entirety of Staten Island are single family homes. So the only people that are really going to feel the pinch here is not these large corporations that own a lot of rental properties, or even these sort of wealthy property owners that presumably he thinks he's like really putting some weight on here. It's just like normal middle class people that still own homes, like in Queens, Staten Island. They're the ones that are going to feel the pinch because, like, what, a 10% increase? If you, again, have millions of dollars in the bank, that doesn't really impact you as much. But if you're like literally just trying to survive on your mortgage payments in Queens, you're cooked. It's over for you. So they're going to have to sell their homes. Again, no one's going to want to buy these single family homes. Again, like families, this is going to go to businesses. Businesses are going to buy up the majority of the single, and then they're going to turn them into rental properties. So all this is ensuring is that you're eliminating home ownership in New York City, because there's still a ton of single family homes in New York City.
He's a communist, so he thinks the property's theft anyways. So I mean,
it's just all it is like it's a consolidation move. It just ensures that there's more businesses owning property.
Exactly what happens with communists all the time.
Not business.
They canoe out the middle class.
It ensures
It's
there's
the
more rental
government.
property.
Yeah,
is going to own
the
control.
government's going to own them. Ultimately, that's the objective.
Well, as soon as they
Because
change
what happens
zoning
is
laws too.
So what happens right now is property taxes go up. The small business rentals, 89% of the rentals are small, are owned by businesses, some large, some small. They say, okay, it is now too expensive to run this, and they legally won't let me increase rent. So I give up. The city then goes, well, how about this? We will buy the property off you at a good rate. And when de Blasio was in during COVID, he said their strategy was to buy up these buildings for pennies on the dollars to make community housing. This is the game they're playing. We've already seen this happen where landowners, building owners, businesses have begun to leave properties vacant because the price limits, the rent limits that are in place by law, make it so that it's more expensive to rent it than to not rent it. So what they're doing is they're leaving these. There's one video where the guy basically says, it's going to cost us $20,000 to fix this apartment up after the previous tenant damaged it. We have to pay that cost. However, we can only charge X amount of rent. We would not make our money back ever because the wear and tear of the existing tenant is going to require costs. So we just leave it empty. Mm-hmm. And now there's people saying, like, why can't I afford rent anywhere? Because communists are very stupid. They are deeply insane and stupid people. And when you vote for things like communism, you are voting for stupidity.
And you hit the nail on the head. It's communism. And the end of the day, it comes down to one simple word that I think we all have understood that this agenda is about, and that's control. Yeah. So once you're living in one of these, government-run and provided homes, all the little psycho idiosyncrasies that the left is about, how many times you can flush your toilet, how much water you can run, can you have a gas stove, all those little things to control every aspect of your life and how you live your life will be determined by the government because you are dependent on them for your very existence in the shelter that you live in, the home that you live in, the roof over your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the problem I see largely is that, let me just put it like this. The problems that we're facing are because it is due to the fact that Americans over a long period of time have become fat and complacent. That we've come to a place where you can have a Zoran Mamdani being like, yeah, we're going to gut your bills. There's crap all over the streets. San Francisco. How did we as Americans allow any of this to happen? The truth is that the generations that came before us, just largely didn't care.
Right.
They were like, what do you mean? The system runs itself. And what happens? They got fat and happy. And then the people in office were corrupt and started gutting the machine for their own benefit. And now we're in a death spiral.
Yeah.
Can the tailspin be recovered from and pulled out of? I'm not entirely sure. But historically, we do tend to see a few things from situations like this. You could possibly get a Caesar-esque Roman Empire. The Republic falls, and then a strongman says, I'm not going to let it happen, and takes over. An Abraham Lincoln-esque suspension of habeas corpus and constitutional rights to keep the Union stabilized. You also could get a Bolshevik revolution. Far leftists go to the centers of power, take out the command structure, then they assume control, and everybody's just too scared to do anything about it. You could also get a Franco-esque type scenario, where a military leader says, I'm not letting these commies win, and then just decides to start fighting.
Right.
It's going to be one of something like this. We don't know exactly what it'll look like. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes. So I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope you are preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
But even New York City, like the people that live in New York City, the standards drop because they're replacing New Yorkers. Like you can go and look at the demographic makeup of New York City, the foreign-born proportion of the population is increasing year over year. It's not stopping. And so part of the problem is a lot of these people, they don't actually have like the expectation, because we're saying, how can Americans tolerate this? How can Americans stand for this? It's like, well, there's not very many Americans left in New York City. Certainly not very many Americans that have like a long lineage in the country. Yep. And so that's part of how you can consolidate power in places like New York City and places like Los Angeles is you just shake out Americans. That's the strategy that's going on here.
Well,
that's Zoran's coalition.
But part of it is not just shaking Americans out. It's bringing non-Americans in. Back to the congressional map issue is the census. Right? Congressional districts are made up of individuals, not citizens right now. And it should count for citizens. There are congressional districts in this country. Congressional districts, roughly 750,000 people. There are some districts that only have 250,000 citizens.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. So it's like you got to go fix this census issue, which I know the administration is looking at. And I'm praying to God that they do, because if they don't, we're cooked.
Yeah. Is that something that Congress is gonna be helpful with, or is it something that the executive can do on his own? Or
the executive tried to do that during the last census. It went to court. I think they're going to take another run at it for the next census. Congress can certainly, absolutely, look, we can pass any law that we want within the bounds of the Constitution.
No, you can't. You can't barely pass any laws.
Yeah, well, I'm speaking theoretically.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
by the powers vested in Congress.
If we're able to defeat our opponents in the House and then coerce our enemies, which is the Senate, then yes, we could do these things. But you could certainly pass a law to do it. But the Senate is kind of the go along, get along club over there, and they're living in 6-year terms, and whatever, no problem. Just kind of managing the decline of the country.
Repeal the 17th.
I'm actually for that.
I am completely for it.
Yeah, so
100%. We got to do it. I will admit, I think based on what we've seen largely in the political landscape, I am. I don't know what the right word is for it, but I think liberalism has reached its conclusion for this country. And that is the fault of those who purported to be classical liberals but did not defend what they believed in. So I would describe it like this. I view myself as a classical liberal. For those that aren't familiar with what that term means, it doesn't refer to American politics at all. It's a reference to political ideology of, largely what this country was founded on. But understand, this country was also founded on blasphemy laws, strong social codes, and people being hung in the streets when they committed crimes against other people. That's not to say I'm for those things now, but the thing is, we believed in semi-decentralized government. We believed in guaranteed rights and protections to be written down, and to a certain degree, freedom of people to practice their religion as they saw fit. Over a long enough period of time, this worldview, which I largely agree with, not like the minutia of how they were doing bad things, everyone understands. We do better over time, right? Slavery was bad. However, they allowed in other ideologies and cultures which opposed this. At this point, we are looking at the corruption. I don't mean the political sense. I mean general decay of our institutions. That is, the 17th Amendment, for those that aren't familiar, states that effectively we're having a popular vote for senator. It used to be that your state legislature, your state representatives would decide who they would appoint to represent the state. That is the better way to do it, because that requires individuals then pay attention to who their local senators and reps actually are and what's going on in their state. With the creation or the ratification of the 17th Amendment, now nobody even knows who's running their own local jurisdictions or districts and or towns or whatever. And you get these members of Congress that are like, vote for me and I'll clean up our town. Why would a federal member of Congress be cleaning up your local town in your district? Your representative is going to go to Congress and represent your interests to the federal government on issues of national taxation, borders, and foreign policy. But these people now don't understand that we are a republic. Yeah. So I say this, we need a hard reset, unfortunately. And I don't know how it comes about, but I know that whether we do it or not, it's going to happen. Because if it doesn't happen by the brute force of the right, the left will smash everything and burn it down. And then if either the right gives up and you get a Bolshevik-style revolution, or the right fights back and gets their reset.
So if you repealed the 17th Amendment right now, you go and look at the number of legislatures controlled by Republicans or split legislatures, so say it goes 1-1, we'd have close to 60 senators. The Republicans would right now. We would have close to 60 senators right now, if not 60. And guess what it would do? It would reinstitute this beautiful word you just mentioned, republic. We're a republic. And so it would put focus back on the state legislatures, which are largely ignored, except when we're going through this redistricting process right now in states like Virginia. So people should be paying attention to what your elected officials doing in your state legislature. They have a lot more impact on your day-to-day than a U.S. senator does.
Yeah, literally. It's crazy, like, the retconning that people do with the founders. Like, there were these wholesome Chungus, like, democracy advocates and everything.
They were all fat.
Brutal American.
I know, it's great. I'm like, dude, like, it was a law in every state where, like, you couldn't hold elected office unless you were a Protestant. Like, they were, like, very, they kept things very tight back then.
Freedom of religion to be Protestant.
Yeah, they'd be like, whoa, you're a Baptist? All right, we'll let you in, but that's a little crazy. And then, like, nowadays, it's like...
There were a few exceptions, like Virginia and Maryland because of the Catholic population. But most of the original 13 colonies were, you had to profess a belief in a Protestant Christian God. The other interesting thing people need to understand is there were not just 13 colonies. People don't, they think that Britain established 13 colonies. No. Canada was British too and still is. Mm-hmm. And when the original colonies went to Quebec and they were like, hey, you should join us. They were like, no. And so then the War of 1812, we were like, we're going to go take it. And then we went to go take Montreal, and we basically got it, and the British burned down the White House, and we were like, crap. So anyway.
Also crazy how the Canadians claimed the dub there. I'm like, you guys didn't do anything. That was the British. That's crazy to me. That was still a family feud. You guys, like, you weren't even a thing yet.
Did you hear in Canada they're having a No Kings rally?
Yeah.
And they literally have a king?
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it No Tyrants.
No tyrants. It's like, no king. Oh, wait a minute. We still have a king.
You know, you can disavow because you're a sitting member of Congress, but these maple monkeys are getting a little out of control. It's getting a little out of control.
We don't have to listen to the Frostbacks. And the situation with the king in Canada, Ian reminds us all the time that there is a king still in Canada.
Because they, like, not to get super granular here, but they don't even endorse the monarchy. Like, Justin Trudeau is an avid supporter of the monarchy, but it's not because he's like, we have this, like, you know, classical Anglo tradition in Canada. Like, that would be based if that's why he liked the monarchy, but he likes the monarchy purely because America doesn't have one. Yeah. And Canada's entire self-conceptualization as a nation is rooted in, like, insecurity that they're basically just a, like, America JV team. So they have to endorse these.
I mean, is that wrong?
Hear you say that.
Assessment,
You know what we need? We need to purge the Supreme Court, except for Thomas and Alito, and then bring out a bunch of actual based pro-Americans so that they actually rule on things that matter. The Supreme Court is, again, like Alito and Thomas are based. In fact, you know, I've long argued just Thomas's extended family, they all get appointed to the Supreme Court, everybody else out. Yeah. And we'll pack the court. We'll get, 4 more seats. Just Thomas, your kids, your cousins, whatever, they're all good.
Clarence Thomas is the man.
He's the best. But we have to, it's funny how he says so little. He's just very stoic and he sits there and then he gives the right answers. The problem is that I'm reading this thing about the Second Amendment. Virginia is trying to ban guns, basically.
Yep.
And the Supreme Court is just too scared. They're too political. And I don't mean political in the sense that they have political opinions. I mean, they're concerned that the responses they give will create a political or cultural response instead of just doing what needs to be done. We need a Supreme Court who's going to be like, don't know, don't care. This is what is. Mm-hmm. But we don't have that. We have 2 guys.
Yeah, I would like Clarence Thomas if he was like appointed like SCOTUS Caesar, and then he could like choose who the successors would be personally. Like, completely subvert the entire system.
Alito's something like 74, and he's talking about retiring before the end of before the end of.
Well, he needs to do it now because he's not going to get confirmed if they take the Senate.
Yeah. He's 74. Like, he's probably still got 10 years. Because, I mean, look, I love Trump and I've supported everything. Unfortunately, the SCOTUS picks haven't quite resulted in what we would have liked. So I don't know.
Should appoint Matt Walsh.
Emil Bove is like the shoe-in for the next SCOTUS appointee. And, I mean, I don't know too much about him, but a lot of our more legally minded people still have some questions.
Matt, if they nominated you for Supreme Court, would you take it? Matt Walsh should be in this.
Very salient question. Well, we have.
He'd make Thomas look like Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Well, now that Riley's not here, I won't have any Catholic pushback. One big problem is there's 0 Protestants on the Supreme Court right now. It's all Catholics and like Jewish people. It's like, what happened? Protestants are the majority of the country. Where's our representation? Like,
what's Ketanji Brown Jackson?
She's like, well, I guess she would be considered a Protestant. She's Baptist, but like, I don't know how devoted she is.
Makes sense. Probably not very. She doesn't know what a woman is.
I want to just like, have you guys seen that Matt Walsh judge show that he did briefly?
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
I just want to, I'm just imagining Matt Walsh on the Supreme Court and he's just like, no, we're banning trans. And they're just like, he's like, I don't care what the law says.
Rules by decree. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not the judge's job. He's like, I don't care.
I don't care.
It is now.
I have a javelin. A javelin and a cool robe.
A javel?
You reply.
Gavel. My bad. Gavel. What is that?
A javelin?
Maybe. That would be nice too. A gavel. My apologies.
Look, the left has no compunction with doing things like that. It doesn't matter what the law says. They just interpret it the way they want it to.
Yeah. Have you listened to what Ketanji Brown Jackson has said about half this stuff? Like, we
have no choice. It's like 80% of the words.
Right. Seriously.
We have no choice but to listen.
Famously, in like the previous rulings, she made arguments that I forgot exactly what it was. It was I should pull this one up, where she made an argument. What was this one? Do you guys remember what happened? It was a big story where she made some like inverted recursive arguments about why they had to do something because they can't do it or something like that.
I don't remember exactly what you're talking about, but the most common phrase that she uses is "I don't understand."
Yeah, and they keep having this problem where she just like debates the lawyers. Like it's like this. You're not supposed to do that. It's not like a debate show. Like it's insane.
Yeah, she thinks that if she can convince the lawyer, she thinks that there's an audience that she has to convince.
And then this Clarence Thomas, like I think the first thing he ever spoke into the record was he was making fun of the lawyer because he went to Yale. I think that's what it was. Like it's like the complete opposite of KBG. So KBJ.
Unreal. But yeah, I mean, KBJ.
I was mixing her up with Ginsburg.
KBJ. She is. I've said multiple times she's an embarrassment to the court. The fact that I mean, everyone knows that she knows what a woman is, but she refused to say because of her ideology. Yeah. That was the most disqualifying thing that I think I've seen any Supreme Court justice do when they were being interviewed.
You're talking about Ketanji.
Yeah, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Okay. Here's what it was. Amy Coney Barrett said, quote, "We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary."
Yeah.
She was arguing that Trump can't do these things, so we have to do them by decree. And everybody on the court, literally everyone, even the liberals were like, what? Crazy.
Yeah, Sotomayor was literally like, what are you talking about?
Sotomayor!
Yeah, she's like, who are you?
You know what? Her opinion is the most aligned with the left's worldview.
Yeah.
200 years? No, we're in the now.
Yeah.
We're talking about right now.
She doesn't have that. She has
by any means necessary.
Exactly. Her opinion is specifically whatever the left believes right now. You can guarantee what her opinion is going to be, what she's going to say, where she's going to come down on every single vote. You know, one of the frustrations that people on the right have with people like Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh and stuff is sometimes you're not really sure. Like there's actually a possibility that they will see things differently and they'll come down and vote in a way that the conservatives don't like. Yeah, it happens all the time. But that's because they're actually judges. They're actually like they may come down on things in the way that the right doesn't like. But they come down in a way where they actually thought about it and they make it at least a decent argument. Hold on a second. And the point that I'm making is, like Sotomayor and definitely Ketanji Brown Jackson, there's no question. There's no thought process. There's no thought process. They're not listening to any of the arguments in front of them being made and thinking about this. They're just like, okay, this is what the question before the court. I know before any arguments are made. I know exactly what I'm going to say long before the arguments start.
Well, and Ketanji, like literally, this was recently. It was like in a Broadway play. Like she's clearly being swayed by activists.
She was at the Grammys.
It's really simple. If you want to just zoom out, what it is, Republicans think they're having an argument with their roommate, but it's actually a demon wearing the roommate as a skin suit. They're sitting there being like, the purpose of our institutions is to have democracy where we will converse among our fellow citizens. And then they're looking at the guy from Men in Black in the Edgar suit, be like, that's right. I have a good idea about how to run the country. Let's let everybody in at once. And they're like, well, that's an argument I disagree with, but I win anyway. And then they open the borders and then your country's gone.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah, John Doyle makes this point all the time, and it's such a great point, is literally we're going to be like facing the wall. They're going to have like rifles at our backs, and then the conservatives are going to turn to each other, and they could be like, could you imagine if we were the ones holding the rifle? Could you imagine the reaction? It's so true.
Before we go to our Rumble rants and chats, I want to play this video of Donald Trump if he was born in other countries. Here's Venice. I don't know what song that is. I don't want to get copyrights. Dmitry Trumov from Russia. Donald Trump of India. Donaldo Trumpes, Mexico. Donaldo Trombi, Italy.
Italia.
Dominique Trumpeau, France. What do we have here?
Very
Donald
German.
Trump from
He already
Germany.
has a really German name. Like,
Right? Donald Logdick Toulon, China.
Let's go.
Iran. What's next? We've got Brazil. Donaldo Trump. What's next? wait, what does it say? Donarudo Turanpu.
It's like, what did you think Don Road Doctrine looked like? This is what it is. We just install Donald Trumps in every country.
Donaldo Trumpezi from Argentina. Nah, German name works there too.
Yeah, low key.
Donat Trumpoglu.
At this point, that's a German name.
Donald Okorampa. Why would someone make this? Sir Donald Trumpton.
This is what Don Road Doctrine is going to look like. We just install Trump clones in all these countries. It's
Just
beautiful.
ethnic Trump clones.
Anybody have a favorite there?
I like the English one.
I like the Japanese one because there's a secret to learning Japanese that people need to know, and I can help you understand. I'm going to teach you a bunch of Japanese words right away, very easily. Japanese people don't make up new words for the most part for new things. So, for instance, how do you say ice cream in Japanese? Aisukurimu. You just say it with a Japanese accent.
I love that.
And like computer, it's like computer.
That's my favorite thing is the European immigrants coming to America and then getting cut off from the motherland. So they had to come up with new words to describe like the animals that we have here. My favorite one is like Texas German because they'd never seen like a skunk like we had it. So they just called it a stinker cat. It's like a stinky cat.
I want to give this one to my anime friends out there, all the weebs. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with Naruto.
Yep.
Because of the Naruto running people were doing, where they have arms out like they were developmentally disabled. So after Naruto, the full series ended, they created a new spinoff, which is still effectively the same show, but it follows his kid, Boruto. And so I'm a big Naruto fan. I read every manga when it was coming out up until its completion. And I've never really cared for Boruto. And I always just thought, like, Naruto sounds like a Japanese thing. Like, if you go to a Japanese restaurant, they have, like, Naruto roll in boxes or something. It must be something, I guess. And then I was like, Boruto? What a stupid word. What does that even mean? And then someone pointed out it's literally just bolt. Like lightning bolt, but with a Japanese accent. Boruto. And I was like, oh, my God.
I feel like that's a little Korean racism coming through.
I'm allowed to be because I'm also Japanese.
Right. You're playing both sides.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm allowed to. Let's see,
I think I like Italian Trump.
Italian Trump.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Come on. Everyone wants to say the black guy was the best one.
The Nigerian Trump.
Yeah.
Nigerian Trump.
All right, everybody. We're going to go to your Rumble rants and Super Chats. Before we do, make sure you go to castbrew.com and pick up some delicious Cast Brew coffee. Now, everybody's favorite is Appalachian Nights. Somehow, I just accidentally stumbled upon a Grand Slam coffee. Basically, what happened was we got a bunch of samples of different blends. I like an earthy, dark, robust, chocolatey kind of coffee. And so I took these flavor profiles, mixed them together, and I said, this is what I like. And then we formulated it. And it wasn't intended to actually be any kind of big product for us. We actually thought that Roberto Jr. was going to be our flagship because it's got a rooster on the back. And Roberto Jr. was our mascot. Every day, people kept saying they liked Appalachian Nights way better. And they bought more and more until you can see here, the reason why it goes Appalachian Nights, Graphene Dream, Rise with Roberto Jr., that's the sell order. Basically, whichever one sells the most is on the furthest left. So Ian's Graphene Dream actually is our number 2 bestseller. You guys are putting Ian through college, and you know he needs it. It's a low acidity coffee. Ian was like, my stomach hurts when I drink coffee. And we were like, well, let's make a low acidity. He was like, I want a low acidity one. And we're like, okay, let's figure it out. So we blended a low acidity coffee. It tastes really, really good. And it sells crazy for function. The funny thing is, everybody else, this is so Ian, everybody else is like, let's do a flavor of some sort. And like, let's try, for Seamus, we were like, should we do a whiskey? Or something like that. And then Ian was like, make mine functional, and it sells like crazy. So I don't actually know how else to make a functional coffee, but, high acid, burn your stomach to shreds.
I mean, that's kind of what the
masochist blend.
That's kind of what the Alex Stein one was, right? The double caffeine.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
and to be honest, the double caffeine didn't really sell that well. It actually took a while to sell out of our double caffeine because people were like, it's a little too much. But now we do have the Dr. Alex Stein's Big Booty Latina Love Potion. Alex Stein is not a doctor. That is our latest that we put out for Valentine's Day.
Look at him with the pipe.
Indeed. And we wrote a song too. We AI generated a song about it.
It's very
good.
fun.
Anyway, let's grab your rants and chats. Grofty says, Rumble Wallet. Yes, indeed, Rumble Wallet. It's a great way to make payments. Tip Rumble creators. Good stuff. Beowulf says, with all of this end times and satanic panic 2.0 talk, you really should have a non-Christian Adam Green. He's an expert in Jewish and Christian messianism. Perhaps. We should bring a simulist, a Christian theologian, and who else should we bring?
A Scientologist.
Scientologists won't do it.
They probably.
We've had we've had a handful of Scientologists on the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they basically all just say, "I don't want to talk about religion." And but I mean, my response is always like, "Yeah, like we actually don't. We're a news show. We don't." Unless someone wants to start talking about it, we get into like generally Christianity.
You're like, I can't talk about it. Tom Cruise will come to my house.
Yeah.
Because they'll spurg out and derail the show. That's why.
I mean, I got to be honest. The Scientologists that we have had, I'm not going to name anybody. They've been great. They're great people. I mean, I understand there's a lot of people who don't like the Scientology is derided quite a bit for a variety of reasons. But the people that we've had on have been nothing but pleasant to us. Yeah. And they've not preached to us. They've actually said, I'd prefer not to talk about religion. And we were like, that works for me. I mean, to be completely honest, I didn't want to hear it. You know,
Mission Impossible's great.
Playing hard to
King of Queens was good.
Hey, look, man. Tom Cruise is awesome.
He's great.
I'm a huge
Tom
fan.
Cruise is awesome, and he's one of the last great action stars that exist.
I know, and he's like 60.
It's
so
63. I actually looked at it. He's 63.
63?
It's what I mean. Again, you can disavow because you're a congressman. He's like white excellence when you really think about it. Tom Cruise, like come on, him and Justin Bieber. Like, let's go.
Think about this. Like Top Gun 2. He was like, you know what? Do what people like. They like action films with a good ending, good plot line. Pretty similar to Top Gun 1, and guess what? Highest grossing movie out there. Boom.
$1 billion.
My dad talks about like the first one, like he was in North Carolina, movie comes out, he comes out of the theater, Air Force Navy set up right outside, like, you like what you saw, boy? Yeah. Fly one of them things! And you're peeling potatoes on the Gulf.
I talked to some guys that joined the Navy around that time. They're like, yeah, I mean, I just saw Top Gun and was like, I was like, I want to fly fighter jets.
And they were like, like 0.001% of people. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. And it's like a high ranking. It's just like you're like a captain, right?
You have to be an officer.
Officer. Yeah. I mean, that's serious stuff.
That, and then you got like 3 extra years of training. Like it's like a 7-year process.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for AI because now it means I can watch. My goal is to have a movie with Jason Statham and Tom Cruise, and they just go around beating people up. Because you make a movie with Jason Statham where it just goes around beating people up, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
They've done like 20 of them.
It's a hit every time.
Doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter the reason. Like give me one where he's a janitor and like some like ragged mafia guy drops a sandwich on the ground and refuses to pick it up, so he just goes on a rampage wiping out the mafia. I'm gonna watch it.
Love that.
Yeah, it's great. And Tom Cruise, all the Mission Impossibles. The last one I wasn't a fan of. They tried jumbling too much together to make a finale, but I love all the Mission Impossible movies.
They are.
That and Fast and the Furious is fantastic. And I've argued this: the FFCU, as I call it, the Fast and Furious Cinematic Universe, they need to level up because you don't do it with outer space, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's remarkable that this movie franchise starts where it's like undercover cop drama.
Yeah.
And then like 10 years later, they're in outer space. I am for it. I am stoked for AI because I've argued that the next movie needs to be that they all get superpowers.
Oh, yeah.
And my plot, my treatment is that, Dom is working on his new car and then, Ludacris is like, yo, I got this experimental engine that uses a plasma drive. And then they're all working on it, but then it blows up and they all get blasted by experimental quantum singularity to whatever, and then it gives them all different powers.
Could we give them all DeLoreans?
Ooh,
yes.
Yeah, and they
go
time
through
travel. Yeah, like they're all time traveling.
Yeah.
I think, look, anybody listening, just think about it.
Bro, have you seen Sea Dance 2.0?
No.
This AI stuff where they're making all this crazy. Let me see if I can find something to play. Because, guys, we showed the Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise thing. It is an understatement, the stuff that's coming out right now.
It's incredibly good.
Like
There's been
that Brad
there's
Pitt
been
stuff.
Cease and desists.
First of all, there's this one, which is a legend.
AI
I'm going to play this for those that haven't seen it. You ready for this one? Wait, here we go. Here we go.
We need to build more data centers. AI needs it.
To cure cancer, right? We're curing cancer. Right?
For those that are just listening, it's the scene from Star Wars. I think this is what, second one?
It's from no, it's
The third one?
the Phantom Menace.
That's not Phantom Menace.
No, that's the Attack of the Clones then.
Right, that's the second one. And Natalie Portman's character, she's like, we're curing cancer, right? And then it zooms out and it just has massive AI generated boobs. So you know,
Not for curing
that's
cancer.
that's what the But let me see if I can. Wow, dude.
Riley, are there it seems like are there congressmen that are using AI to write a lot of their press releases? Because I've seen some people pointing that out.
I don't know if they are. I'm not aware of it, but maybe.
Here's a much better example.
Some of them are so
Check this out, guys.
That's super cool.
So this is, I believe, this is Attack on Titan, and they're showing two. So let me just set it up real quick. They use Sea Dance to create a
Photorealistic.
a live action version of Attack on Titan. I think it's Attack on Titan. That's crazy.
I'm not sure what the point of that.
I watched Walter White fight Captain America the other day, and it's
Yeah,
How'd it turn out?
There's a lot of Batman versus Captain America out there.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it. It's going to be on X somewhere.
Oh, it's that. Yeah, that's where I've seen all the clips.
Here's Walter White fighting Neo from The Matrix.
I'm awake. I'm awake.
Follow.
Who are you? Fine. You take one, and you see. What's the purity? It's not that kind of... I don't do unknown compounds. Wow. It's a metaphor. Fine. Let's learn.
Here, rules are negotiable.
Matter isn't negotiable. Momentum is momentum. Kinetic energy transfer. Conservation.
Crazy.
You're testing variables. Fine. Let's run the experiment.
Listen to the system. Systems drift. Entropy wins.
Safety margin. Reaction rate increases with pressure. Noise. Irrelevant.
Running is pointless.
Then I'm done running. You're predictable.
Mr. White,
This is
you've
crazy.
been busy.
I'm efficient.
We can do this the easy way.
I'm not in danger. I am the one who knocks.
You don't understand your position.
Your mind makes it real.
Then my mind needs better equipment. Now we can work. Tread lightly.
New environment.
Same atoms, different arrangement. Solid lattice, predictable. Phase transition, liquid to precision. You can't intimidate chemistry.
Sir, you can't.
We're here to deliver. Stay on task. Don't even look. Simply like it's a chemical razor.
Jump!
That's not a plan.
Jump!
Now it's a plan.
All right, you get the point.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It's wild because my prediction was we were a few years away from something that's happening, and there's already schematics being leaked, allegedly leaked from Seedance 3.
Yeah.
Where they reportedly Seedance 2 is now entering the public, so people are making stuff. But this means that what they have behind the scenes at ByteDance, this is in China, already exceeds it to a great degree. And according to these alleged leaks, Seedance 3, which won't come out for some time, can make 15-minute videos. No longer 10-second clips. You'll be able to actually type in, make me a short film where Walter White gets trapped in the Matrix, and it will make it. It will render the full thing for you relatively quickly. Yep. And so, I talked about this, and then I thought it was actually a great bit of, so I've talked about how Disney Plus is going to have like the Disney Corner where you can tell it, you'll press the microphone button and say, I want to watch Spider-Man fight the Hulk, and it will render a movie for you. And then Zachary Levi, the actor, came on and said basically the same thing, and that's been his concern the whole time. It's one of the reasons when he came out and endorsed RFK Jr. and then got behind Trump for RFK Jr.'s sake, his attitude was, I believe he said this several times publicly, Hollywood's over. AI is about to destroy everything, and people have no idea how crazy it's already getting. So he was like, I'm resigning myself. The idea that he's going to refrain from talking about what he cares about because he's scared of losing his job. His job's gone already. It's going to get nuts.
Did you see that movie? Maybe I saw it. I think it was on, I can't remember, HBO or something like that. But it's these tech giants that are trapped in this house all together, and they usually celebrate. And one of them controls all the AI videos in the world. And it's causing, people are watching all these attacks happen, and they think that they're real.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. It's like an overdubbed thing on Netflix. They like go to a bunker and stuff.
Yeah.
They think that they're being kept safe, but really
right. Yeah, and I can't remember the name of it. And they're like pleading with the guy, just turn off the AI videos. And he's like, no, this is fine. It's not real. And they can't. Then they don't know if it's real or not. I can't remember the name of that movie, but it's pretty interesting.
Here's the Avengers fighting the Monkey King.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I don't even know who the Monkey King is.
Do now.
Jeez, man. Well, you get the point. It's not perfect, but it's just getting there so fast. And the video game stuff is crazy because we talked about Project Genie. Man, we made a game the other day of Alex Stein with a jetpack flying over the ice wall, and you can run, jump, and jetpack. It's actually, I was surprised it had multiple controls, and Alex Stein jumped over the ice wall.
We could just have AOC giving a solid answer on Taiwan. Like a data center.
AI, the thing.
Data centers nationwide just start burning down. It's like there's not enough data in the world to process
Then the
tasks
power.
of that magnitude. It's impossible.
Just brownouts across the country.
Yeah, just takes out the power grid.
The whole power grid goes down. That's the.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Correctly.
It's not. It's like what do you
I feel like they might not let me do it because AOC is a very, very high-profile political figure.
Yeah.
But you can make me.
She's untouchable.
The craziest thing is, in Google's Project Genie, you can make Tim Pool. It is weird that is possible. Yeah, it won't do it. Let's see if it'll let me do. It might not let you do the UN Security Council. Things that are super political and things that are the top tier of copyright tend not to work, like Mickey Simpson's works. Is it going? It's not. I don't know if it's going. While it's going, we'll grab some more Rumble Rants. Dung is Fun says YouTube went down because Europe has a swine epidemic going on and China will not buy pork from Europe. Hey, look at that. There it is. Tim Pool at the UN Security Council. So it's just the back of my head. You know,
Like it's USA, China, USA, France, Russian Federation, and then just like gibberish. It's this mysterious fifth country.
Let's see what happens.
Why does the USA get 2 desks? That's actually how it should be. We should get 2.
This is me going and declaring the UN now under the
Abolished?
No, subjugated.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There it is.
You can move around like Google Earth.
Look at
That doesn't look like you.
not the face never does.
Shame.
Strung out.
But the general idea, I put a beanie on me. It's funny because it's basing these off of old photos that it's aggregated from Google. But here I am walking around.
Wow. It's like Grand Theft Auto U.
Yeah. And so theoretically, Project Genie is phase 1, and the expectation is in about a year, you're going to make games.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine there's going to be an online universe where you make your own custom games, and it'd be like, I'm going to play the game Phil made. And let me show you how crazy this is. We can do, let's do In the Sky over Japan. Let's do, who's someone we could try that's like not famous enough to get restricted, but famous enough that we're like, wow, look who it is.
Colin Kaepernick.
He's I think he's too
famous.
Yeah, it's NFL.
Oh, you could do one of the
Is it Steve Fenn or Steve Venn? It's Steve
Venn V.
Steve Venn Crowder. That's a good one. Flying with a jetpack. You can make first-person driving games in cars and motorcycles. You can make flying games. You can make Iron Man. It's crazy. Let's see if we can get it. In the Sky over Japan, Steven Crowder flying with a jetpack. I think it'll let us do it.
I hope so.
Nah, it won't do it. It won't do it. Yeah, some people.
Well, he was with Fox for a long time. Maybe that was why.
Ian Cross.
Right.
Will he pick up Ian Cross?
No, Ian's not famous enough. You got to be that special middle ground.
Mo from the Three Stooges.
Way too famous.
Maybe Phil Labonte. There's probably some picks they can pull from.
Mo from the Three Stooges might work. Is it MOE?
Fictional, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get Mo from the Three Stooges flying with a jetpack in the skies over Japan. I made a video where I was like, let's try it out, and everything broke. I couldn't make a single world happen.
Huh.
Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah, it won't do post-apocalypse for some reason. Hey, we got it.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Why are there Japanese floating city? Like,
What is going on?
I don't know,
it's Mo from the Three Stooges with a jetpack. Dude, we are so cooked. No one's going to vote because they're going to be too busy gooning in their fake realities.
Yeah. Retconning the Three Stooges.
Look at this.
Future Japan.
Let's go. Fly, Mo. Flying in a futuristic Japan that's got floating Japanese. Like, they've retained the traditional architecture of Japan.
It actually does look pretty Japanese.
Oh, you can go up, but you can't go down.
No.
I guess you can't. Can I go down if I press down? Oh, you can. Man, that's crazy. Holy shit.
I wonder if you can walk when
Can you
get
land? Yeah, can you land and walk?
Let's try. Wow, dude, this is nuts.
What?
Yeah, you can land.
Look at this, dude.
Nice.
This took 30 seconds to render. Who wants to play Three Stooges in Space Japan?
What happened? His face just changed, I think.
Yeah.
He had glasses on.
And he's got a jetpack. He's flying around. Let's just go up. Let's just take it. But how do I turn? There we go.
And over there.
Wait, did I just turn the jetpack off?
Oh, no.
But he's still flying.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's still flying.
He's fine.
I wonder if rent's cheaper or more expensive in this like sky.
And then
be more
it
expensive.
renders a video and you can download the video.
Wow.
How about this? Let's go for the craziest thing we can imagine. Let's go for a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C. and you are a baby trying to escape the pizza shop. It'll definitely let me do this.
Trying to escape.
I didn't need to add that context. You can literally just put a pizza restaurant and you're a baby. But, let's see what it does.
Maybe the baby will have some urgency.
I was thinking about a name for this video game I'm making. Pizza something like related to a door. They're trying to get through like a. No, it won't do it. It won't do it. Let's just do a baby.
Why?
Let's do a toddler. A pizza restaurant in Washington D.C.
Because they probably won't let you generate a minor. So maybe if you like Hezbollah, he looks like a baby.
A really adult baby.
Yeah, if you generate Hezbollah.
His old guy who looks
Hezbollah
small.
looks like, young. He's young at heart.
Benjamin Button. When he's
While that's going on, let's try and grab some of these other chats because we're goofing off too much.
All right.
Wyatt Kaldenberg says, the U.S. will strike the Islamic Republic soon. Would you do a culture war on the Iranian Revolution? I could hook you up with good people. Many have fatwas against them. Online interviews safest. Interesting. Hey, look.
It did it.
Islamic
there we go.
Republic, we're bombing France.
Do you want to play my video game where you're a toddler trying to escape this Washington, D.C. based pizza restaurant?
It's totally out of thin air.
Oh, it won't do it. Retry. All right, let's grab a couple more before we go to the uncensored portion of the show. All right, it said no. Wow. What do we have? Akin Seth says, you don't know how bad it's getting in Virginia. They're voting on a bill to investigate to stop using salt on the roads in winter, right after the last winter storm that made the term snowcrete. Wow.
Why would they stop using salt?
All right, let's see.
Who the hell knows?
It's asking for people to die.
Yeah.
What do we hear? Kajir says, Tim, I'm 70% sure I'm more qualified than Democrats just by listening to your show. That's correct.
That's true.
You got it.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're going to go to the uncensored portion of the show over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. So check that out. Don't miss it. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. I want to read one more super chat I just saw. Walter Subcheck says, what would Tim have done if he was in the Lake Zurich kid situation? I mean, after Tim had deadlifted 600 pounds because Tim has such massive T, he is an 18-year-old kid just trying to document what the left was doing. So I embarrassingly almost got into a fight in Boston. So an Antifa guy started swinging at my face, and I stood my ground. Tucker Carlson had me on the show following that incident because when the Antifa guy threatened to hit me, I stood exactly. I just stood my ground and said, okay. And, F around to find out. He didn't hit me. He tried to make me flinch. Then some right-wing dude pulled my hat off, for which there's a video of this. And I've got 7 or 8 cops surrounding me. And I turn around and I screamed. I really wanted to knock his teeth out, but I'm surrounded by cops. And so I just screamed at him, you're lucky I don't effing knock your teeth out right now. And then the cops broke it up. So, I would just say this, if I was in a situation in high school and some dude came up to me and threatened to punch me, I would be in a fight. I don't think that's an absurd thing to say or a strong claim to make. Bro, I'm going to say this. If your attitude as a man is that you would be you don't believe another guy would get into a fight with someone who hit him, I think you probably have low T. And low T is probably a stupid way to describe it, but it is a normal thing for a guy who gets hit to fight. That's if any guy came up to me and said, if someone took a swing at me, I'd get into a fight with him, I'd be like, yep. So when you're like, yeah, Tim, would you? I'm like, yeah, most guys probably would. A guy swinging at you, you're going to try to avoid the fight for sure, but you might just stop him from punching you. You know what I mean? Anyway, Riley, do you want to shout anything out before we go?
Yeah, just go ahead and follow me, Rep Riley Moore, on all platforms. And quick shout out to 2 long-term listeners, viewers, subscribers, Jay Yakamashi and Jimmy Berry. What's up, dudes?
Love it. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. Go watch the Timcast News live. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow, and I'll see you there.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains official on. Actually, no, I'm not. That's the old one. Wow. You can. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. We're going on tour this spring with Dead Eyes and with Born of Osiris. You can get tickets at allthatremainsonline.com. Don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
That sounds like a sick show and tour to go on. I'm Carter Banks. Follow me everywhere at Carter Banks and follow our record label Trash House Records on YouTube. Excited for the after show.
Right on. We will see you all over at rumble.com/TimcastIRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.